So today we are going to discuss about the industrial safety management subject. Under that, the topic is safety education and training. So as everyone know that the education related to safety and the training is very essential. That may be in the industries, that may be in a training center, that may be in different types of institutes or organizations. And that is why before starting the actual job, we must need the training. So we have to identify why this education, that is safety education and training, is needed, and then how it is to be conducted, what are the different methods under these training techniques are there. So we have to discuss it. These are the contents for this presentation. Element of training cycle, then training need assessment, design and development of training programs, training methods and strategies, type of safety training, evaluation and reviewing of training program, competence building technique, that is CBT, role of multimedia, communication and application of computer. So these are some of the contents. Now what exactly the training is or the training cycle? So normally or generally in the industries they are calling at training cycle, and there are some of the steps suggested to complete a training cycle. So what is the steps or the steps involved in these training cycles are: the first step is to identify the needs. So you have to identify the need of the training, whether the training is needed, why it is needed, then what are the different points covered under these identifications. Then if you already identified the need of this training, then you have to design or develop the training module. So for designing and development of this training module, you have to discuss the contents of the training module with all the elements of these organizations, and then after that you have to deliver that training. So the conduction of training or the running of this training with different techniques or the methods which are available with your organization, that should be done. And after delivering or the conduction of this training, we have to assess whether this training is satisfied our need or not. So we have to evaluate, we have to assess all these things or the training contents, the training delivery methods, the knowledge of the trainer, the learning of the trainees, etc. There are different points which with the help of it we can assess or evaluate the training satisfaction. So we have to identify whether this training design, development, conduction activity and the learning methods are appropriate or not, whether the need which is identified in the first step is satisfied or not. If it is not the case, if any loopholes are there, if any improvement of scope is there, then we have to rectify, identify the scope of improvement, and we have to again change the goals and objectives of our training, and then we have to again design and develop the training. So on the basis of that, we have to do these activities under this training cycle. Now as far as the OSHA is concerned, that is Occupational Safety and Health Act is concerned, they have identified these 7 steps, that is chronological steps, where we can conduct this training cycle with the help of these 7 points, and which is given under this OSHA. So determine the training is needed, that is first point. So check whether a problem can be solved by training or other tools required for the improvement training problems. So you have to identify first whether the problem of your organization is satisfied by conducting this method or not. So that is the training. So if the problem can be solved with the help of training, then you can go for the training design and development and conduction activities, right? So first step is to determine if the training is needed or not. So that is from the management point of view, that is from the employee's point of view. So if the training is needed, then we can go for the further steps. Then the second element is identify training need. So what exactly the need of the training is? So analyzed worker duties performed skillfully and safety or not. So whether the activities, whether the job, whether the daily routine from the worker or of each and every element of the organization is going perfect or not, and with respect to safety point of view or not. So to satisfy the safety needs, to satisfy the skill requirement of supervisor or the employees, you have to identify the training needs, right? So identifying this need, then we have to set our goal and objective. So if the training is needed, if the answer is yes, now we have to identify what exactly the need of training is, what should be the contents are, and on the basis of that, what exactly the problem is. On the basis of that problem, to solve that problem, we have to identify the goals and objective. So deficiency derived from step 2 fulfilled by the set specific goal and objective. So on the basis of these two, suppose if the worker needs the training on a new equipment or new machinery, then we have to set the goal and objective accordingly. If any major changes are done in the organization, like technological changes, so if some semi-automation is converted into automation, or some robotics is involved, incorporated in your organization work, then you have to go for some training regarding this robotics. So depending on the requirement, that goals and objectives can be decided. So if some historical data says that there are many incidents or accidents happen in a particular section, then you have to identify the training for that particular section or that department. So like that, you have to set these goals and objectives depending on your training need. Then design and develop training program. So after identification of this need, after setting these goals and objective, you have to design and develop training module or program in detail. So whether the training is required for one day, whether the training is required for some hours, whether the training is needed for 5 days or 1 week, etc. So depending on the training need, depending on the goals and objective, if some of the skills required more time, then you have to go for 1 week program. If some techniques or machineries are modified, then you may need some of the days only, 1 or 2 days, and in some of the cases that may be for some hours. So depending on the need, depending on the goals and objective, you have to design and development this program. So design program according to available training resources with respect to job, knowledge, attitude and behavior. So depending on your facilities, suppose if your training need is with the theoretical or the formal way, that is in the classroom or in the hall, then you can go and search whether the facilities are available or not. Suppose simple example is you need some LCD projector, you need some personal computer or laptop arrangement, and you need some seating arrangement in a hall. So whether the facilities are available in your company, if it is yes, then you can design and develop the program in that way only. Suppose if your training is needed on the job training, then you have to identify whether the facilities are available or not, whether the time span for that particular section in that department in with the that HR persons or with the persons who are the trainee or the trainer are suitable or not. So depending on the all requirement, depending on the facilities provided, depending on the time schedule of that particular section of that particular person, you have to design and develop this training program. Then conduct the training. So After designing and development of this training, you can conduct the training using suitable method and time. So we have already identified some of the methods. So that may be with the help of LCD projector presentation, that may be with the help of video, with the help of some safety film, with the help of some data, with the help of some graphical representation, with the help of some simulation techniques, with the help of some actual mock drill, with the help of some hands-on practice. So depending on the training requirement, you have to conduct this training, maybe in a formal way, maybe in a informal way, or maybe the combination of this formal and informal. Then evaluation and program effectiveness. So after conduction of this training, you have to evaluate this program effectiveness, whether this program, whether this training is effective or not, right? So by hazard reduction, performance, by workplace improvement, or any other points may be included. So we are mainly concerning with the safety. That is why this hazard reduction is one of the factor, and the workplace improvement, that is the safety operating procedure, should be involved in your evaluation points. So if the safety operating procedures is improved, if the hazard is reduced or hazard is eliminated with the help of this training, then that training is very effective. If some of the points are covered, then that efficiency may be in some percentage. If it is not effective at all, then we have to modify, we have to change, we have to change. That may be the in the conduction of training, that may be in the method of training, or if the design and development point is not clear, then we have to change these points. So depending on the evaluation, we have to change these above points, or we can improve this program. So with the help of this evaluation program, with the help of this assessment, with the help of this target of 100% efficiency, we have to improve this training program, and based upon the step 6 result and feedback from worker, we have to change that training program, and again we have to plan for the next program. So these are the steps explained in detail as far as this OSHA is concerned. Now this training need assessment. The first step of any training process is to be sure about the need and set objectives. Training without objectives is of become wasteful activity. So you have to decide what exactly the objective is. So if you want to learn some technical things, if you want to learn some new technology, if you want to learn some operating procedures of new machinery, if you want to learn some soft skill, if you want to learn some attitude or behavior based study, whatever it may be, so depending on that, your objective should be set, right? So your objectives should be decided before starting or designing any type of training. So on the basis of some of these questions, you can understand what is the need of training is. So some questions can be useful. Does an actual performance discrepancy exist? So whatever your conventional methods are adopted by your organizations, whether that is okay or not. So in some of the cases, if some unsafe conditions are occurred in any premises or in any working environment, in any area of working environment, or some unsafe acts are there. So if some unsafe acts are observed by the supervisor or the manager or any type of employee or the third person or the auditor, then you have to identify the need of training. You have to identify the conduction or the methods of training. Then what exactly the efficiency? So in case, in some of the cases, if the safety performance is not better in of your organization, then for improving that safety performance, you have to identify the need of this training, and you can go for the training. So depending on the unsafe act, depending on the unsafe conditions, or you have to improve the efficiency as far as the safety is concerned, then you can go for the training. So if the first question answer yes, then you can go for the training, and then you will decide the further steps. Is it important to organization? So you have to identify if some third person or the employee of your organization saying that we need some training. So whether it is important to organization or not, that can be decided by the management. So if the reduction cost of accident, the hazards or the losses, then we can go for the training. So due to this training, which is identified by the employee, then if there is a reduction in the accidents number, if the reduction in the hazards, or if the reduction in the losses, then it is important to the organization. Otherwise it is wasteful activity as far as the employer or organization is concerned. Is it important to employees? So this is third question. So if new employees are there, so obviously it is important, it is essential, it is mandatory as per law is concerned. Then old for refreshers. So some employees needs this training or this type of training as a refresher course, because some of the employees may forgot these activities, some of the employees may need these activities again and again, because their transfer, their departmental changes or the activity changes or their job profile changes may forgot these activities, which is the current activities. So you have to uh, design these refresher courses for these old employees also. If repeated mistakes or more number of mistakes by the workers are there, and if the worker is again, even after changing the worker, then the mistakes are same, then you have to identify some of the training needs, and you have to design the training for that particular removal of this particular mistake. So the fourth question is it correctable through training? So in some of the cases, if some loopholes are there, if some rectification is needed, if some correction is needed, that may be in the safety operating procedures, that may be in sequence of the SOPs, that may be in the storages, that may be in the training activities, that may be in the operational activities, that may be in some of the daily schedules, whatever it may be. So if corrections or some changes are needed, then you can go for the training also, because after correction you have to conduct the training repeatedly, so that the new change should be adopted by each and every employee, right? So if any of the above question having answer is yes, then training is effective and training is needed. So that is the basic need of our training is. Now, some of the approaches are there to determine the safety and training needs. So, on the basis of this approach, you can identify the training needs also. So, the first is common concept approach, then safety need based approach, problem identification approach, and organizational safety survey approach. So, common concept approach, the contents may be assess own situation, requirements based on real need, or specific results oriented program instead of general knowledge. So some common concepts like SOPs for a particular machinery, then some sequence of a specific task, that may be a work permit system, that may be lotto systems, that may be some of the activities. So some specific results oriented program can be designed on the basis of this common concept approach. Then safety need analysis approach. So that job safety risk analysis useful. Gaps between job requirements knowledge and employee knowledge suggest training need. So there may be some gap between the job requirement knowledge and employee knowledge suggest training need. So these are the some of the cases when after graduation, if somebody joins to a particular job, then that particular job may need some safety training, may need some safety knowledge, some of the basic knowledge, but there is a gap because in the graduation syllabus or in the curriculum, the safety basics may not be there. So you have to identify this training. Then third is problem identification approach. So from employee's performance appraisal report, his need can be assessed and fulfilled by the personal coaching, instructing, guiding, etc. So in the performance appraisal activity, there may be some points identified by the manager or some senior officials that this person needs some of the skills, and that skill satisfaction may be through the training. So this problem can be identified with the help of annual performance appraisal report. Then fourth one is organizational safety survey approach. Classify and analyze accidents and calculate the compare performance rate. Then conduct hazard survey, study existing safety measures, interview key personnel and arrive at needs and deciding the priorities. So depending on the safety performance rate, so we have to calculate the safety score, then frequency index, then safety um, parameters, different parameters. On the basis of that, we can understand that our safety performance is at that level, and we can compare this safety performance with the previous years or with other organization also. So on the basis of that, again, we can identify some uh, safety training which is our need. So these are the different approaches on the basis of what we can identify or determine the safety training needs. Then CBT is one of the concept in this case, that is competence building techniques. So the basic objectives of any training is to build competency. Competency is nothing but the perfectness in that particular activity, in that particular area, in that particular operation. So that is nothing but the competency. So basic objective of any training is to build competency. Training shows practical part of knowledge. Knowledge plus practice make competency. So in some of the industries, in some of the sections or with some persons, it is happen that they are having good knowledge, they are having good scores in the qualification or education criteria, but when they are going to convert this knowledge into practice, then there may be some lacuna, there may be some need of training is there. So there are chances where to convert this knowledge into practice, there may be some need of training. So that training may be off the job training, that may be on the job training. So in the off the job training, that category may be uh, information presentation techniques, or that may be information processing techniques. So information presentation techniques means less involvement of training. Like I'm conducting this lecture, I'm presenting some of the presentation, but as far as the trainee is concerned, there is a less involvement of training. So the trainer is involved in that activity, but trainees are not 100% involved in that activity. So that may be a information presentation techniques from the off the job training. So that reading list, corresponding courses, films, lectures, panel discussion, program or computer based instructions, these are the different example where information presentation techniques may be involved under this off the job training. Then information processing techniques. So trainees are involved under this of the job training. Second criteria, that may be a conference or discussion group, that may be a team or some training groups. So when we are conducting this type of training where the conferences are held, where the discussions are held, where the panel discussions are there, where the trainee is involved in that discussion, trainee is involved in that question answer session, trainee is involved in that presentation, then that training is effective as compared to the previous one, that is information presentation technique, right? So in the conference, you know that you have to present some of the points, some of the topic through the presentation, through the research, through the experience of your experimental or the practices which are involved in your daily schedules. Then simulation techniques may be involved in this off the job training. So some of the experiment or practices may be conducted with the help of this simulation techniques. That is incident case, that may be a role playing, that may be a in basket or vestibule, mock-up, business game, etc. So this simulation needs you some of the softwares. That software may be of technical, that may be of non-technical type, but if the simulation is there, then you can go through the training with the help of this of the job training. So some training or the simulation models are also there to understand, to learn about the technical concept, about the non-technical concepts also. So these are some of the cases where off the job training can be conducted. And under this on the job training, so this is nothing but the actual job assignment, right? So that may be a temporary job assignment, but it is actual job assignment where the coaching or job instruction training, that is JIT, is involved. Then special assignments on job, committee, project, etc. Job rotation through the predetermined set of jobs to provide exposure to different parts of the organization should be involved in this on the job training. So in some of the cases, some person may need only overall learning or overall activities of the organization should be learned. So different departments, different hierarchies of these organizations should be learned. So that may be one of the training that may be involved in the HR training. But in some of the trainings where specifically or focusing on the technical concept only. So to how to operate this CNC machine. So nowadays the CNC machines are automated. So what is exactly the CNC machine is, how it is operating, then what is the working principle, what exactly the CNC language or the CNC programming is, then what are the different steps involved in to conduct this CNC machine, then what exactly the sequence is, what are the safety precautions involved in that particular CNC operating machines, etc. So there are different types of example where you can understand what exactly the on the job training is. So this is the actual job assignment. This is, that may be a temporary job assignment, but this is the actual job assignment. So that may be for one day, that may be for 1 or 2 hours, that may be for daily activity for 1 month, that may be for 6 months, that may be for 1 year also. So some apprenticeship jobs are nothing but the on the job training, or some of the training which are focused or forced by the government are also involved in this under this on the job training, and our daily activities are nothing but the on the job training. So depending on your need, you can go for the off the job training or on the job training. But you have to build your competency, you have to build your perfectness, you have to build your accuracy, you have to build your safety awareness systems, and you have to reduce the hazard, you have to reduce the risk involved in that particular operation. So that is called as competence building techniques. So you have to go for off the job or on the job techniques to build the competency, that is called as CBT. Then design and development of this training program or module needs some points. So any training program should be designed for its specific purpose. Any training program should be designed and developed to consider following points. So motivation is needed while designing and developing of this training program. So all types of training, that may be formal, that may be informal, that may be on the job training, that may be off the job training, whatever it may be, whatever the type of training, but all the type of training needs the motivation. Then steps or sequence of topics. So what are the steps involved under this training? So whether this is actually started with the formal approach, with the formal contents, what exactly the training is, then who is the trainer, then the experience or the introduction about this trainer, then what exactly he is going to do or what exactly she is going to do, this what exactly the sequence of these topics are, then the length of training period. So whether this training period, whether this training is for 1 hour, that or 2 hours, or for half day or full day, whatever it may be, so that length of the training period should be clearly defined. Then what exactly the objectives of this training is, what are the goals of this training is. So the objective is defined on the identification of the training need. So what is the objective, and at the end of this training we have to check whether this objective is satisfied or not, whether the objective or the goal is attained or not. Then the actual doing. So whether this training is involved the activities like hands-on practices or the actual doing part, or whether it is purely theoretical, or whether the simulation is involved in this training, or whether the discussion or some conference forum is involved in the training or not. So all these points are covered under this design and development. Then questions of training. So the question may be asked in between or while doing the training, or maybe at the end of the training. So depending on the questions, all the questions should be answered. So that may be a need of this training is some specific questions, some general questions, some common questions, and some questions may be arise with reference to the legal requirement or the auditor's requirement. Then encourage trainees. So we have to encourage the trainees. That is the role of that particular supervisor, manager, or the trainer. So that trainer should encourage the trainees to involve in that training or in the activities, and some of the examples should be given while conducting this training. So if your training is with respect to some of the operations involved in the activities in a particular department, then you have to give some example. So some maybe an ideal example, maybe a good example of a particular person, that how he or she is doing work on a daily basis in a perfect manner with a safety manner. Or you can take the examples, give the examples of some of the activities or some of the persons while by showing some of the pictures or video films, etc., so that each and everyone can understand what exactly he or she wants to say, right? So some positive examples can be shown, can be discussed, can be explained in the training. Then effectiveness of this training evaluation. So we have to identify whether these goals and objectives are satisfied or not, whether this training is essential or not, whether this training is useful to the trainee or not, whether this training is encouraging, motivating, or some learnings may be there or not. So depending on the different points, you have to identify the effectiveness of this training, right? So what exactly we achieve after this training, or what are the plus and minus points of this training is. So that is nothing but the evaluation of this training program. So all these points should be covered under this design and development of this training program, so that on the basis of these points, on the basis of this objective, the employee can identify whether this training is useful or not, whether I have to go for this training or not, or whether it is essential or mandatory task for that particular department, for that particular section, or for all the employees. Then I have discussed that some of the training methods and strategies are there. So that may be a formal or informal approach. So what exactly the formal? Formal is nothing but the theoretical or classroom approach, where we are going to conduct these lectures. We have to conduct some presentation. We have to conduct some seminar, etc. So all these are nothing but the lecture method techniques. That is formal approach. Then some discussion may be there. So that discussion may be held in the meeting halls, and discussion is limited, and that is why it is called as theoretical approach. Then some case study method. So with respect to some of the accident, so that may be an accident case study. So that is nothing but again theoretical approach. So we are going to discuss some of the points with respect to that particular accident. What exactly happened? What are the possible causes? What are the remedial measures? And what should we do to avoid this repetition of these accidents. So all these things are nothing but the case study method. Then poster at workplaces. So some signages, some posters of some activities or some slogan or some do's and don'ts, etc. That may be some symbols like danger, precautions, or some SOPs. That may be a symbol of some safety, whose responsibilities, etc. So all these things are nothing but the formal approach methods or the trainings, right? So all these are the examples where you can understand these are the formal or theoretical or classroom approaches. Then what exactly the informal? So whatever is not covered under this formal approach is nothing but the informal or the practical or the job plus approach. So these methods are nothing but the methods where the actual doing is going on under this training. So that may be a role playing method, on the job training, job instruction training, sent to training center, mock drill, demonstration, etc. So you have to play a role of a particular designation. That may be a worker, that may be a helper, that may be a supervisor, etc. So you have to do the actual activities which is defined by the organization for that particular designation. So you have to do that activity under some of the under the guidance of the senior official. So doing these things is nothing but the informal approach, right? On the job training means we have already discussed that if you want to operate CNC machine, then what exactly the sequence is, what are the operations, what are the safety measures, what are the safety precautions, and what are the PPEs to be wear, etc. All these things are nothing but the on the job training. So you have to do the things actually, right, on the job, and that is why it is called as on the job training. Then job instruction training. So some instruction can be provided by a trainer and you have to do accordingly. You have to follow that instructions and you have to do that particular activity, that particular operation, that a specific job on the job only. That is why it is called as JIT, that is job instruction training. Then some of the organizations are having their own training centers. So some large scale organizations, some government organizations, some multinational companies are having these training centers. So some of the employees who are needing this training, that may be a induction training for which is mandatory for all new employees. That may be a refresher course. That may be a specific course designed for a specific technology. That may be a specific course designed for a specific uh, techniques, some safety techniques, etc. So that training center can satisfy their needs. So depending on the need of your requirement, that training center gives us the training to that employees with the help of the competent trainer, right? Then mock drill. So we know that fire mock drill may be there, evacuation mock drill may be there, or some mock drill, other mock drills may be there. So depending on your requirement, you have to go for the mock drill. Because unless and only until you go through this mock drill, you haven't have that confidence while actual facing the problem. Suppose if fire is catches and how to use this fire extinguisher, how to use this fire hose, how to use this uh, sprinkler system, how to use this fire monitor, etc. So before facing this problem, before actually involved in that problem, you have to go through this mock drill so that you can understand the 11th hour problem. You can feel the weight of that particular portable fire extinguishers. You can feel the weight of that particular CO2 cylinder, etc. You can feel the actual pressure or the force which is developed by that fire hose, etc. So all these things are needed in the mock drill. So you have to experience all these points so that there will be no mistake in the actual facing the problems. Then some of the demonstration may be needed. Suppose you have to wear some safety harness if you want to use the SCABA, that is self-contained breathing apparatus. Then before using the self-contained breathing apparatus, before using this safety harness systems, before using this any type of PP, you have to go for the demonstration. So after understanding, after learning the each and every step, then and then only you can go for exact process or the correct process of the wearing this PP. So these are some of the examples. That example may be different, depends on your organization and your job activities, right? So the effect of training methods. Now you can understand from this statistical data that due to this training, if you are going to absorb the training with the help of this reading only, then only 10% can be understand. If you are go through the training by hearing only, then you can absorb only 20% of the contents, and if you see, then you can absorb 30% of the contents of the training. Then if seeing and hearing both activities are there, then you can satisfy the 50% of the training needs. If you are going to sing and talking, that is nothing but the involvement in that discussion, involvement through these conferences or talks, panel discussion, etc., then you may get 70% of the training contents. And if you are going to do some activity, if you are going to follow some instruction, if you are going to practice some of the points which is discussed in the theoretical concept or which is shown in some of the video films, which is shown in some of the presentation, then 90% of the parts of that particular training can be absorbed by that person. So you can understand the practically doing is more important in industry, and that is why most of the industries are focusing on the hands-on practices, right? So these are some of the parts where you can't do each and every activity with practically doing, but some of the most important activities should be done through this method only. So appropriate method should be selected depending upon the size, age, experience of group, amount of material, type of presentation, time, money available. So depending on your trainee size, suppose if 20 trainees are there, then what exactly the method should be. If suppose the age of your average trainee is more than 40, 50 years, then what should be the activities? If the experience of your group is very less, then what should be the activities are? Then what exactly the amount of material is required for that practically doing or hands-on practice? Then type of presentation. So whether the type of presentation is only whiteboard and marker activity, or whether it is presentation through PPT, whether it is the presentation through graphical methods or Excel statistics or graphs, whether it is through the video, whether it is through the simulation techniques, depends on the requirement, depends on the facilities available in your organization, that should be decided. And on the basis of this, what exactly the training is needed, on that basis you can decide the time, you can invest accordingly, and depending on the availability of all these things, you can decide or select the appropriate method of training. So whether we have to go for the formal approach, whether we have to go for informal approach, that is depending on the number of these parameters. Then the type of safety training may be a general, maybe a specific. So some examples are induction courses. So these are the courses where general safety training can be identified for new employees. So each and every company provides the induction training or induction course in the organization itself or in the training center of their organization. Then some apprenticeship training may be there. So some apprenticeship act is there for the students who have passed the engineering or BSc or the graduation. So after that theoretical or the minimum qualification of this graduation or diploma in engineering, they can go for the apprenticeship with the respect of that apprenticeship act, and it is mandatory for the organization to provide this apprenticeship, right? So this is the apprenticeship training where you can go through the theoretical or the presentation formats, then you can go for the hands-on practices, then you can go for the on-the-job training. So this is the mix-up or the combination of all these types of trainings under this apprenticeship act. Then supervisory training. So some trainings are uh, having the supervisory level activities. Just like a supervisor, you have to observe, you have to supervise all the activities involved under this different departments or in all the organization departments. So depending on the scale or the large scale, medium scale or small scale company, if the large scale company is there, then you have to focus only on one of the department or one of the section. If the small scale company is there, then you can go for the total company or a complete company for the supervision. Then safety representative technique training. So as far as the safety is concerned, you can observe this type of training, you can represent this type of training. So whether the training that may be for the safety operating procedures, that may be of personal protective equipments, that may be of fire mock drill, that may be of evacuation drill, that may be of some other activities which are related to the safety. So all these are the examples of general or theoretical or safety training. So some industries maintain their some of the theoretical training centers where they have displayed these safety slogans, then safety posters, then some of the fire extinguishers, some of the personal protective equipments in the display mode, etc. And some charts are prepared so that you can understand this particular type of equipment, tool, or that particular activity with the help of the description of this chart. So these centers can be designed as a theoretical safety training center. Then second type of training is practical safety training. So use of protective equipment. Now, if you observe this protective equipment or personal protective equipment, then if you read how to use this personal protective equipment, and now if you want to use this personal protective equipment, then this training is under this practical safety training. So you have to wear that safety harness, you have to wear this self-contained breathing apparatus, you have to wear this hard hats, helmet, glasses, goggles, hand gloves, safety shoes, etc. Then that training is under the practical safety training. Means you have to use this personal protective equipment, and then you can go for that particular job or activities which is given by the senior. Then first aid training. Now if you know what exactly the first aid is, what exactly the sign of first aid is, what exactly the contents of first aid boxes are there, then what is the CPR, then what is the cuts, wounds, etc. Then what exactly the that first aid processes are there, what exactly the antidotes are there, then what is mean by bandaging, etc. So all these points are maybe covered under this theoretical training through this displays, signages, boards, charts, etc. Now if you want to go for this practical training, then you have to do this bandaging, you have to do the actual activities of this CPR, you have to use this first aid box contents for a particular worker. So these are nothing but the practical safety trainings. Then fire precautions, safety permit, safety systems, then for the particular operations. Now, if work permit is there, if some fire precautionary measures are mentioned in some of the departments or with on the display boards on the wall near the fire extinguishers, or before going to the a particular section like a boiler section, that may be a furnace section, that may be a confined space where the oxygen deficient atmospheres are there, etc. So before starting the actual operation, you have to absorb all the learnings, all the points which are shown under this theoretical safety training, and now you have to do this activity. So you have to check where what are the checkpoints are there under this work permit system, safety permit systems are there. You have to check actual energy, actual electricity, actual wall operations, whether it is on or off, what exactly the blinding is. All these things are you have to do. That is why it is called practical safety training. So you have to perform the specific activity in this practical training, and it should be covered initially under this theoretical safety training. So this is the linkage between this theoretical and practical training. So there is a need to learn, to read, to observe, to see, to talk, to discuss all these points in this theoretical safety training, and then you have to act under this practical safety training. So these are the main two types of safety trainings are there. Some of the different examples of the trainings are the orientation or induction training. So we all know that these induction trainings are specifically designed for the new employees. Then apprenticeship act, under this apprenticeship act there are apprenticeship trainings, then that is designed for the freshers which are not actually on the role of the organization, but the apprenticeship training may be for the 1 year generally. Then on the job training, then off the job training, we all discuss all these things in the previous slides. Then vestibule training, so it is an approach between on the job and off the job training, and used when the job is dangerous and can harm the trainee if taught on the job. So this vestibule training is in between the on the job and off the job, and it is specifically designed for the dangerous or harmful practices. The training takes place away from the actual workplace, but the equipment and procedures to be followed are similar to be used on the job. So you have to do this training not on the real ground, but you have to do these activities where some of the places may be designed in a similar manner where this confined space is actual. Then after that training completion only you can go for this harmful practices or dangerous jobs. Then individual and team simulators, so some simulations may be there, some setup for training pilots and astronauts like simulators should be there. So nowadays these simulators can be uh, teach you about the fire extinguishers, about the fire systems, etc. Then team training, so some training may be needed in the team only. So there may be some need of coordination and cooperation amongst team members, and make them realize that their behavior may help or hinder co-workers from the performing effectively. So some of the training need, that training should be covered or conducted in the team only. Then individual or program instructions, so this type of trainings to supply the instruction through the printed material or machine. Safety instruction by placard, slides, banners, notices, boards, films, transparencies, checklists, etc. are useful. Then some modern methods of trainings are also involved, so that is depending on the organizational facilities. So nowadays we are using the computer laptops or computer based systems for giving the some of the trainings. So some of the robots, some of the computers which gives us the question answers also. So these are nothing but the model methods of this training. Then some other types that may be involved some HR training, that may be a technical training, that may be a safety training, some productivity training, creativity training, voice training, ISO training, computer training, then customer training, supervisors training, training for training, etc. So before starting the actual trainings also, before deciding the training also, before deciding the objectives and goals also, we have to train the trainer. Then and then only we have to design and develop that particular training. So these are the different trainings may be involved in other types of training which are not the part of above trainings. Then role of multimedia communication and applications of these computers. So nowadays you can understand the role of this multimedia communication and applications of computers are playing a vital role. That education and training of safety by using safety films, so pictures, then TVs, that there may be point presentation, that may be video clip, that through accident case study, etc. So nowadays we are using this YouTube, we are using some of the videos, we are using some of the presentation slides, we are using some of the case studies or panel discussion type of studies through the online mode also. So in the COVID situation also we are using this platform for the education and training of safety. Then some accident investigation report sent to the other plant, then safety training module prepared in computer. So computer plays again a main role in these cases, because to save this data, to save this information, to save these different videos, different presentation, different clips, different studies, different reports, all these things can be saved under this computer, and where or whether it is needed, then you can show these reports, you can show this presentation, you can show these modules or the safety films, etc. to train that trainee again. Suppose if a specific module is designed for a new employee, then you can repeat this same model for a particular batch, for a particular batch of 10 or 20, and likewise. So you can use the computer as a main media to train the trainees with the help of specific module. So this multimedia is again useful while doing or while training the training for a similar manner. Then safety instruction display on electronic digital display board to create awareness. So in some of the companies, some digital displays are also involved to display some safety awareness, some training awareness, some other awareness that may be from the health point of view, that may be from the environment point of view, etc. So these are the different points where we are using this computer, we are using this LCD projector, we are using this digital display or electronic digital display, where we are using this YouTube, where we are using WhatsApp, we are using the Zoom, GoToWebinar, online platform, we are using the email activities, we are using the Google Drives or Drives, we are using this Excel sheets, etc. So all these are nothing but the parts of this particular multimedia or the application of these computers. So you can go through this list of the activities which are under this applications of this computer. So nowadays we are not preferring the conventional methods for this training, but we are preferring this new technological or computer based methods, because these are very effective methods. We can easily retry, we can easily reuse again and again for a different training or different task. Then after all these activities, we have to evaluate and review the training program, right? So evaluation and reviewing of training program means to check measurements of effectiveness or results. Then effective training program should help to promote safety performance. So whether our safety check, so whether our safety performance is improved or not, whether the hazards are reduced or not, whether the safety score, that may be a frequency rate, that may be a severity rate, that may be a frequency severity index, that may be a safety score, all these parameters which are under the safety performance, whether it is improved or not, that should be checked in the evaluation. So the sum of the points are performance improvement, then hazard reduction, decrease accident rate, increase job satisfaction and motivation, then increase quality and quantity of production, refinement of human behavior. So all these are the general parameters which are involved under the evaluation points. So some training may check the quality or the quantity or the production activity, whether it is increased or not. In some of the training output, some human behavior refinement is needed. In some of the activities, reduction of hazard or risk may be needed. In some of the accident activities, the accident rate reduction should be incorporated, and in some of the activities, the performance, that is safety performance improvement, is needed. So we have to check these activities with the help of this evaluation techniques, and on the basis of that only we have to again conclude that whether these activities, whether this training is satisfied our goals and objectives or not, or whether any points are needed, or whether any points are included in that particular training, whether the concept, whether the training period, whether the method of training is changed, or whether it is satisfied. So all these things can be incorporated under this evaluation and review technique. Thank you.